Welcome to Tobar's Realm. Today I'm going to start the process of trying to make a crucible. I tried using an old can to melt some aluminum in and it just failed and melted through. So I'm going to use this piece of scrap to try to make a crucible out of. I was looking at this thing and you could tell it was purpose built for something. I'm guessing it held some sort of pipe that might have been used as a grain elevator. Maybe it had like an auger pipe inside of this mounted. It's got this bracket that looks like it was designed to fit in a corner like that. This piece of baling wire that was specifically designed to hold it for something. Kind of funny because there's a cotter pin inside of there. I'm not sure how in the world that would have been hard to install after it was fabricated, so I don't know. But I'm going to cut this thing apart and try to turn it into a crucible. One of the things I think is really cool on some of this really old stuff you find around is that it's got square nuts on the bolts. Bolt heads are square, nuts are square. I don't know if that's from like before they invented sockets and all that stuff, but I don't know. It's just kind of cool to see old square nuts and bolts. I don't know if I'll be able to get these off with a wrench. I'll throw a little WD on them, and otherwise I'll have to cut them off. I think I can get this one. Let that soak for a minute. Wow, that came right up. Got the bolts removed. Now I got to cut the frame off. Ended up having to cut one of them. It was just too rusty. secure this. Alright, got that cut through. This is what I'm going to try to make the crucible out of. I'm going to just weld it together and put a base plate under it. Probably add some kind of ears on there. So I got that piece cut loose. I'm just going to make a base for it from this piece of just 1/8 inch plate. So I got that piece of 1/8 inch plate cut out, cleaned up the edges. My plan is to put that on there and weld it to that plate. Now I just need to come up with some little loops on the top, probably a pivot on the bottom so I can pour it, and then probably cut some kind of notch for a little pouring lip there. So what I decided to do to mount a spigot on here is I just cut a small piece of angle iron, and then I'm just gonna weld it like that, and I'll just cut a V-shaped slot, weld it on there to make a little pouring. I think that'll work. Well, I've made some progress on getting this ready. I'm almost ready to start welding. I got some of those welds that I cut off, cleaned up, both sides. Got that notch cut in there to add the little pouring spigot or lip there. I got the loops to add right here to add a pivot point for pouring. I'll just put one on each side. And then I'm going to weld this on the bottom there to use to pour it. I just made a little hook too so I can grab that. So I'm just going to clean this up with a wire wheel, and hopefully that'll clean it up enough to weld it, get most of that paint off. Well, not surprisingly, I clipped myself with that wire wheel, so I've got to get that cleaned up, taped up, keep at it. Okay, so I got all the pieces cleaned up pretty good. I just was wanting mainly to get the paint and rust off, clean up the edges where I'm going to weld it. So I think I'm ready to start welding. I haven't welded in quite a while, maybe a couple years, so I'm going to use some of my scrap for making it just to practice on. And in case you're wondering, it's a folded up piece of paper towel with duct tape. That seems to work pretty good in my experience. So I got the parts welded together. These welds are not going to be winning any beauty contests, but I'm satisfied with how it turned out. Being a good welder definitely is an art. Spigot is a little rough. I'm gonna have to grind that down and see what it ended up being. I kind of had it set too high and burned a hole. I kind of burned a little bit of a hole through it. So, but the handles turned out pretty good. Welded the inside too. It's really hard to get the slag off of those. A lot of splatter I'm gonna have to see what I can do about, but not too bad, I guess. So I got it finished. Not the prettiest thing in the world, but I'm satisfied with how it turned out. Got the ears attached, the spout on there, the little hook to be able to dump it out, and I just made a type of handle there, slightly bigger or wider than those ears, where I can just hook it in there to lift it, and then this other little hook to be able to pour it. Overall, I'm happy with how it turned out for a prototype. So I'm gonna have to try it out. I think I'll melt some lead in it first, just to try it out. Alright, so I got my little crucible set up there, loaded with some lead. What I'm gonna melt down is actually the casting I did of an ant pile, which is kind of sad. I think it was pretty cool to see what it looked like, but that's what I'm gonna do. Starting to melt down pretty good. I'm gonna cast it in that little small cast iron pan. So I got that preheating. Now I'm just gonna cut up those other pieces. Looking good. seemed to work pretty easily. Well, there you go. I guess it worked. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Here it is. It's about 23 pounds or so. Let's hope it comes out of there. Yep. It's about 1.5 inches thick or so. Not bad.